How did we as a people come to a sacred connection with birds and integrate their feathers into our ceremonial dress? If the connection can be found deep in time, could this have occurred before Beringian migrations and then carried across the American continents? These are questions that will take us around the world and back to our earliest images in Upper Paleolithic cave art. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present Exploring the Origins of Human-Avian Ceremonial Traditions at this year's American Anthropological Association annual meeting. My name is Bernie Taylor, and my research explores a deep root to mankind's creative capacity by looking at how we came to view our cosmos through the study of Upper Paleolithic cave art. We begin this journey with the iconic Native American eagle feathered headdress, as worn by the Apache Geronimo and Nez Perce Chief Joseph. The eagle is one of the highest flying birds, and the feather is believed by many Native Americans to be a transformative medium. Feathers are ceremonially worn from birds that do not fly high or at all. The Native American powwow is frequented by male dancers who mimic or rather transform into the greater prairie chicken. Feathers as symbolic or transformative ornamentation are found around the world among people who are presently or not long ago hunter-gatherers, such as these Karaf, Karo, and Samburu warriors. The transformation to birds is widely found in religious literature, art, and in the anthropological record. Pictured here we find the benevolent Assyrian genie, the angel Gabriel from the Abrahamic tradition, and the falcon-headed horse, all who were intermediaries to the divine in the ancient Mediterranean world. In the Siberian Yakut shamanic experience, which may date to earlier than these ancient Mediterranean traditions, the practitioner transforms in a sacred horse dance through the aid of a horse and bird. The aim of the dance is usually to travel to another dimension, the land of the dead, whether above or below, to ask the deceased shaman for assistance in healing or some other need of the clan. This chronicle of Yakut shaman's sacred horse dance was documented around 1900 by a Russian ethnographer. We should watch for transformative practices that include both birds and horses. We can draw what we have learned from ethnographers and early anthropologists, and then look to the archaeological record for further study. There we may find more about from where the human-bird traditions of animistic, shamanic, in ancient times to the present originate. Clues may be found with this prehistoric bird person in the French Cave of Lascaux to about 17,000 years ago. He is in the so-called shaft of the dead man. Note that there is no evidence he or anyone else was dead in the shaft. The bird person is surrounded by a bison who appears to be dropping her calf, a spraying rhino, and a bird on a post. The orientation of the bird on the post and the hooves of the rhino establish the lower horizontal plane. The bird person is at the same angle as the heliacal horizon of Orion relative to the horizon. Note that the orientation of a constellation to the horizon changes over time and in different locations. The pictorial astronomical relationship is not likely to be by chance. We may find more clues in the Upper Paleolithic caves. On the Agnus Dei panel in the French Grotte de Pan-en-Père from an earlier period, we may find this agitated mare looking over her back. Picasso appears to have borrowed this horse from Grotte de Pan-en-Père. I'm being generous with the word borrowing. The Spanish artist had an interesting twist on this perspective. In his own words, I would rather copy others than repeat myself, and that way I should at least be giving them something new. We can compare an expanded view of the original panel to my outline mask bird person character. The mask is most representative of a griffin vulture. Less obvious are the rump and the forward rear leg of the horse that have the appearance of a plunge diving turn. Picasso borrowed this Upper Paleolithic bird person for his 1936 painting, curtain design for Armand Rolland's play My Fortune Juliet. Note the long beak, strong breast, large fingers, and odd feet on both bird person characters. We can find evidence of the bird person among earlier art at the Upper Paleolithic cave of El Castillo on the Iberian Peninsula, where on the 10-meter across panel called the Gar of Discs, there are more than 80 red discs that are on average about the size of the palm of your hand. One disc among them has been dated to at least 34,000 years ago. On this panel, we find archetypal teacher and apprentice. We may also refer to the archetypal teacher as a spiritual leader, who is an internal guide from the place of the ordinary to that of the extraordinary, such that he may take us today. Note the wide interested eyes of the apprentice and how the teacher speaks into his ear. He appears to be sharing a captivating story. Maybe he can tell us more about human bird ceremonial traditions. Let's listen in. Also listening in on the shoulder of the teacher is a fledgling golden eagle that stands about a foot tall. This is roughly a mid to late June time period for the young eagle. The artist is designating a time and place. There's also this masked cosmic man bird person whose left leg and right arm are raised. The right hand holds what appears to be an egg. His left arm has a feathered texture. We can take a closer look at the mask of the cosmic man. Note that he has one eye on the left side of his face and the right is the beak of an eagle. We can see the impression of a nose below the mask and what appears to be a mouth and teeth above a dropped chin. This is where we truly see the transformation of an animist. When we turn our heads 90 degrees sideways, which may take us out of our chairs, the teacher and the fledgling golden eagle transform into the mask of the cosmic man. See how the artist used the juvenile eagle to form the beak of the cosmic man's mask. The artist is telling us that the bird and the man are separate, but can also be the same. On this panel, we find a speckled mare. She is agitated and appears to be leaping with her head turned as if something is on her back. Our cosmic man may be what has agitated the speckled mare. He merges with her in the same tradition as the bird person, horse, on the Agnus Dei panel at Grotte de Père, and the Yakut shaman. Again, the horse gives him strength. The cosmic man is now the hero who has answered the call, is now on his adventurer journey. All the animal beings on this panel merge with or interact with human characters. We encounter another transformation where a mask is put on to become a bird person. Note that our hero's left hand is feathered behind his back. This is also the feathered left hand of the cosmic man. They are the same character. There are many other animal beings on this panel. Some will help us to put the bird person in context. One is the spinning bottlenose dolphin. Note that the dolphin is depicted above the surf. We have now entered a marine environment. Our hero merges with the dolphin to become a merman and now has the ability to swim and leap out of the water like a dolphin. The dolphin also assists our hero by lifting him into the sky. He reaches the far shore, which is now Western North Africa, to be greeted by a monk seal. The artist is describing a journey across land and sea. On that far shore is a woman in distress. See her sunken chin and cheeks, sorrowful eyes, and long braided hair, accentuated by the red discs. When the damsel in distress archetype is encountered, the story is evoked. The surrounding characters fill in the cast. There's a Spitzus dog with its tail flopped forwards. Present-day DNA studies indicate the Spitz to be one of the oldest known dogs. Here are an elephant drinking water from a pool, and another with a raised trunk, or so it seems. Turn your head sideways and you'll see that they are the same elephant the artist formed from the same ear and trunk. Our hero enters and swims in the pool. See his head and arms freestyle swimming. Our strong swimmer's moving head show him coming up for air between strokes. He encounters the elephant in the pool. The artist depicted an aerial view of the elephant in water with her floating ears. The hero has external battles. He encounters a lion who paws him to the ground. The hero prevails, becoming the apex predator, and as a symbol of that strength, he wears the red spotted pelt. This depicted myth is, of course, connected to that of Hercules who slays a Nemean lion in a deep cave and takes home the bloody pelt as evidence. We continue on to find a mother bear watching her cubs climb a tree to safety, and a large toothy crocodile, which our hero gets mixed up with. We can now turn back time to mid-June, some 35,000 years ago, with astronomical software to see these depicted human and animal beings on the gallery discs and in the night sky as constellations. The journey of our hero was mirrored in the night sky. We can recognize many of the constellations in the ancient Greek astronomical record. Traveling from north to south at the top of the panel, when turned 90 degrees, we have the masked cosmic man, who is the constellation Hercules. The eagle that he merges with is Agala. The eagle also merged with the horse, that is Pegasus, to give her wings. Remember Pegasus as a constellation. We will return to this character again. In that great astronomical expanse we call the sea is the bottlenose dolphin Pisces, which is swimming southward in the scene we can now recognize through astronomy as a night's journey across water. On the southern shore is the monk seal, which the Greeks found to be the monster Cetus. I've swum with monk seals and found them to be quite playful. I suppose that if one heard a monk seal in the dark, the being might sound monstrous. In other presentations that can be found on my webpage beforewriting.com, I guide the viewer through additional human and animal beings on the Gorham discs to explore the origins of other constellations. Many are familiar to us, such as the pictured spitz dog, which is Canis Major, the red-haired hero is Orion, who we viewed as being lifted out of the water by the dolphin. Perseus is the strong swimmer. As well as the lion Leo, Ursa Major is the she-bear, and Draco the dragon as represented by the crocodile, among others. What is most important about these animal beings and constellations in this discussion is that the bird person came from a broader spiritual journey across time and space that involved many animal beings, which assisted the hero through a transformative experience. Some other animal beings worth noting are the juvenile giraffe, who hides her neck behind her mothers, along with the Barbary ape, which are both native to Africa, and this breaching humpback whale, who carries our hero home in her belly, that is reminiscent of the biblical Jonah and the whale. The succession of characters illustrate that the journey or pilgrimage of the hero on the Gorham disc is from Europe in the north at the top of the panel to West North Africa at the bottom, with its presented orientation, and then back again. We can determine Europe as the region by the pictured horse and other animal beings that were native to the continent. The Strait of Gibraltar, where the hero swam as a dolphin, encountered the seal, and rode inside the whale described by these marine animals. Western North Africa is where we found the giraffes and Barbary ape. Through this map, we can originate the bird person character and use of feathers as ornamental dress to at least 35,000 years ago at the Iberian Peninsula or Western North Africa. A sacred space in either region could have been the starting point or destination of this prehistoric cosmic pilgrimage. Let us now travel south to Gorham's Cave at Gibraltar to view Gorham's etching, which is contemporaneous with the gallery of discs. Gorham's etching bears a close resemblance to the nearby Mahassan, which is the highest peak on the Iberian Peninsula. Let us take a closer look to compare the horizontal and vertical lines on each. Note the natural irregularity in the mountain that the Gorham's etching artist captured. This section has the look of an agitated horse. This is pareidolia, at the same time gives us a physical source for Gorham's etching. To the viewer's upper left on Gorham's etching, there are a teacher wearing a mask and his listening apprentice. The mask of the teacher has the appearance of a kite. We can see the mouth of the teacher below the mask. The scene echoes the spiritual leader on the gallery of discs, who whispers into the ear of the wide-eyed apprentice. Note that we have seen the hero and the teacher transform into different birds at each location. The local species of bird may have designated the clan or region of each spiritual leader. This image also originates the bird person ceremonial tradition to perhaps just a few thousand years before the gallery of discs, both of which are more than 10,000 years before early Beringian migrations into the Americas, thus demonstrating that the character of the bird person and the use of feathers as ornamental dress likely originated in Africa or the Old World during the Upper Paleolithic. There are artifacts whose detail supports the idea that the Upper Paleolithic artists became bird people in their ceremonies through the use of actual bird feathers. The remains of bird bones, primarily the wings of raptors, have been found at Gorham's Cave. Many of the Gorham bird bones have intentional marks which indicate that the feathers were handled and could have had symbolic use, such as with headdresses or clothes. The bones range in age from 23,000 to 52,000 years ago, though 90% of the bones were more recent than 43,000 years ago. Like the gallery of disc teacher, the Gorham etching teacher spiritual leader draws strength from other animal beings. We can see a mother bear and her cub extending from his left shoulder and wolf on his right. There are many other characters on this panel. The artist used two of the horizontal lines of Mahassan to create this agitated horse. This suggests that the agitated horse character was found first in pareidolia in the geological phase of Mahassan, then projected to the night sky as the constellation Pegasus. Afterwards, the image was transferred to other caves. This observation is consistent with animistic traditions, where the animals, geological formations, and the stars are spiritual beings. In a modern sense, we may say they're like gods. The central line forms the waist of our hero, while vertical and horizontal lines outline his running legs. He encounters an ostrich. One can look closely at the ostrich character to see the features of a man. Our hero merges with the ostrich to become this odd, monstrous character, who is accompanied by a pair of overlapping dogs. The character in his left hand has the appearance of a lion. Perhaps the legs of the ostrich give him the ability to run faster. He then transforms through a bird and a horse. In the traditions of the Agnus Dei panel in the Grotte Père, the derived in the El Castillo cave, and the Yakut shaman. We find a cosmological connection in our transformed Gorham's cave hero. The bright star Sirius in Canis Major is designated behind both Orion characters. Sirius is an actual star on the flank of the foredog at his rear. This presentation has made some ground in answering the questions of how did we as people come to a sacred connection with birds and integrate their feathers into our ceremonial dress, as well as could a deep source have occurred before Beringian migrations and then carried across the American continents? We've also learned from these bird people in Upper Paleolithic cave art and the continued ornamental feathers and dress around the world that they are of the spiritual realm, often connected to the sky world through such transformational experiences. When the painters and feathered dressers create their works, the individuals do not leave the terrestrial realm or lose sight of the sky world. Rather, the artists create a third interconnected realm through the act of artistic projection. We are not just looking at images of human-animal blends depicted on the walls of caves and in the ornamental feathered dress of ancient peoples of the present and celestial bodies in the night sky. We are viewing an animistic cosmic practice of interconnectedness that has been carried around the world and is our psychological spiritual inheritance. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak at this year's conference. More in my work can be found at these sites. I am always open to cooperate on projects and virtually present my work to community and academic audiences.